Hello and welcome to another draft video here. As we open up our first pack here, we have a rare that is completely unplayable in draft. Absolute power, 8 cost, triple sapphire required, but draw any number of cards. You're going to be dead or won the game a lot of the time before you get anywhere near casting this bad boy. That being said, this pack has a lot of other pretty good toys in it here. The two cards that jump out at me as first pickable are this Strangle and this Monk. Strangle is just a really high quality piece of removal. Target troop gets -4/-4 for 2 cost at a quick action, double blood threshold. Monk is just a really powerful finisher. 3/3 diligence, gets +2/+2 and spell shield until our next turn. I've kind of been enjoying the Monk decks more than I've been enjoying the Blood decks in this format. I think the aggressive Wild decks have a little bit more to offer, and they're also generally more open, I feel, than the Blood decks on average, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Monk here. Another reason to pick up the Monk in this pack is that I'm passing a Butcher, which is a pretty reasonable Blood card, so whereas I'm not passing any good Wild cards if I take the Monk, so hopefully I'm a little bit more likely to get rewarded for that. Looking at this pack here, as far as staying on theme with Wild, I think Battle Preparation is probably the best card here. Conscript and Ardent Troop with cost 1. The created card gets +2/+2 permanently. None of the uncommons in here are particularly exciting. None of the commons in this pack make me want to move off of the one shard that I'm already in, so I'm going to go ahead and snake the Battle Prep here. Up next, I'm really confused. So much, in fact, I'm going to take a screenshot of this pack to send to share around. Like, what on earth was taken out of this booster pack? This is there's an uncommon gone out of here and a common, and the Typhoon Skyshaper is still in the pack. Phoenix Guard Lancer, also very first pickable. 10 out of 10 taking the Typhoon Skyshaper, though. I'm going to upload this picture to my Discord real quick, because good golly. I can't, what? Like, the Skyshaper and the Phoenix Guard Lancer were still both there. Mobilize plays well with Diligence. Turn 3 Monk, turn 4 play Typhoon Skyshaper, and Diligence this. Like, you know, just skate on through. This pack's actually pretty bad, right? Like, Galleon Sentinel is probably the most playable card. It generates a Valor and has Skyguard, so maybe that's worth the pickup. There's a few different Wild Valor's Matters cards that are worth snagging. There's all 4 uncommons left in this pack here, and for good reason. None of them are particularly playable. I don't really care for Dingle. I don't love Burly Botanist and the cards that we have going so far. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Galleon Sentinel. We're not excited about it, but it's definitely the pickup. We'll just have to, the mystery of the Typhoon Skyshaper and friends, just like 2 very first pickable cards, and what? Like, what was, like, Mystic, it had to have been a Mystic Naturalist, right? I feel like that's one of the few cards you could pick out here over an uncommon, but, like, what's the common that got picked out of that pack over the Typhoon Skyshaper? Well, we'll round out our 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 curve here with a Vigilant Duskwing. 3, 5 for 5 with Flight. The start of each opposing champion's turn. Ready this. So good, solid evasive threat here. Look at how appeasing that is. Just keep going 2 through 6 and have a nice strong curve, right? That's how we do. I'm hoping we're going to get some more Bomb Sapphire cards after the Typhoon Skyshaper and the Phoenix Guard Lancer made it through 2 people. Them biggity bombs. Also wouldn't mind like a Determined Bushy or 2 round out the bottom part of our curve here. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Man, these packs have been smelly. I guess is Arachnid the pick here? All these other cards seem really bad. I'm almost certainly not going to play the Arachnid. I'm going to grab the Silencing Sneak for the reserves, just like the random constant hate. Sign me up, I suppose. Up next, another Battle Prep, a Draka Outcast, a Sacred Stance. So you don't want to prioritize picking up these Conscript Matters cards because they're really bad if you don't end up with enough Conscript cards, whereas cards like Battle Preparation are just very reasonable to play on their own. So like this Draka's probably not going to wield to us just because there's only going to be 3 cards left in this pack when it comes back around, but I definitely think Battle Prep is the correct pickup there. Yeah, just another Battle Prep here. The Apprentice requires like an okay Valor payoff. We only have 1 Valor producer at this time. The next prep coming around kind of makes me wish we would have picked up that Draka, but maybe we'll be fortunate enough to get 1 or 2 in the next pack. Now that we have three Conscript cards here, we can start picking up Conscript payoffs with a little bit higher priority. Conceal's an okay card. This is the kind of card that can kind of steal games some of the time. Target troop neutral with +1 power permanently unblockable. So against an opponent who's kind of removal light, I don't know if we'll start this card in our deck, but it can definitely steal some games for us. I'm going to hide those 2 for now. They're not particularly powerful cards. We've got 6 very reasonable cards. One thing that we want to make note of so far is that our curve is a little bit high. Even though we have all these battle preps to play on 2, they're not actually impacting the board until turn 3. So something worth noting here. I don't particularly love Sparkle Cap in a Wild Sapphire deck, but if we end up short on 2s, that's definitely going to be a card worth playing. I guess Dingle technically gives us something to do on turn 2. It's kind of cute that we can pass with Dingle and battle preparations up, so that way if they play something we want to Dingle, we can Dingle it, and if not, we can play the battle preparations, which kind of makes this card marginally better now that I think about it in this shell that we've drafted so far. Let's go. Just picking up the dredge into the pack here. Got about 8 playables. Remember, Dingle and Sparkle Cap kinda suspect. I don't know if this pack was just weak or if we actually ended up getting cut on Sapphire after picking up this Typhoon Skyshaper and this Vigilant Duskwing. It's gonna be interesting to see how the rest of this plays out for sure. We might want to pivot into a different secondary shard here after our wild. Our wild's kind of medium -2 though as well with the battle preps and the monks. I'm gonna grab the duelist here. In case we end up pivoting into Ruby, this is definitely a card we're interested in playing. Like if we get like a Surging Wildfire in our next pack, that could definitely be a sign to just like move into like Ruby Wild Elk. As opposed to this Ruby Sapphire deck where we don't have a ton of good Sapphire cards so far. Gravebane Vial, also known as Reasonable Filler, since it draws a card when it comes into play. Up next. Yep, just filling out the dredge end of the pack. Bum ba dum ba dum dum da dum da dum. Hopefully this pack gives us some direction in what we're supposed to be going. Well, remember that time I talked about possibly moving in on the Surging Wildfire? I think this is the time. I can also be a little bit conservative here, and Determined Bushy's just like a very good wild uncommon. Yeah, I think I'm going to grab this Bushy, and then if the Surging Wildfire wheels, we can move in that direction, because I'm not sure Surging Wildfire is a ton better than these two cards, and Bushy's a very good 2-drop to pick up on a shard that we're definitely playing, so as opposed to giving up like 2 playables here for that, I think I'm going to hope that it wheels, and if it wheels, then we'll definitely move in. And I'm sure we're about to get punished here and get like past running Surging Wildfires here and just like wish we had taken that one as well, but I think it's right to take the Bushy there objectively. Sparkle Cap in these is also marginally better if we end up in Ruby, because you can put the Swift Strike gem in it. A 2-1 Swift Strike for 2 is much better than a 3-1 Crush for 2. There's a lot of like random 1-1s for 1 and stuff that make a 3-1 Crush for 2 look pretty embarrassing. Survey says... Ooh, and rewarded for staying in Sapphire here. Mystic Naturalist, just like super powerful card. This is very first pickable. Summon a Mystic Bluebird every time it diligences, so 10 out of 10 gonna go ahead and pick that up. Ideally, the Shackling Strands or the Crossing Swords is gonna wheel here, so pretty happy that we grabbed this Bushy and not the Surging Wildfire, because Mystic Naturalist and Typhoon Skyshaper make for some biggity bombs here. Okay, so we got a Crossing Swords here. Our deck's pretty light on removal, and this is an excellent Diligence enabler for our Mystic Naturalist, Monk, and Bushy, so I think I'm going to go ahead and pick this up here as opposed to picking up another clunky thing like the Duskwing here. There's nothing else here that's super exciting for our shards, so we're going to go ahead and do this. And for my next trick, one thing that's kind of awkward in our deck so far is that all of our powerful Sapphire cards are double Sapphire, so our Threshold requirements are going to be a little bit awkward here, but definitely have some powerful cards here if we can get them all to work together for us. Shackling Strands is an excellent piece of pseudo removal. Target troop gets to start of each combat phase, exhaust this, so really happy to add that to my pool here. It's something to help us live while our kind of more powerful top end here can take over a game. I think I'm going to hide this Sparkle Cap for now. We're pretty firmly in these two shards, so ideally I'd like to not be playing this card. I guess the Dingle's still on the table, since we're going to be in Sapphire and we have the 3 battle preparations like I mentioned earlier. Am I just like grabbing a second Dingle here? The Enlarge is a playable trick, but I kind of like the idea of like the turn 2 pass with battle prep / Dingle up and just like get him either way, be resource efficient. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? So 22 cards, so we've got 3 more packs that we haven't seen yet in this go-around. Another battle prep. Vidraka Outcast in here too, and a Crossing Swords. And this is the pack, like, these packs always kind of tilt me when we get, like, these towards the end, because, like, there's 3 cards, even 4 with the Skyspire Skull that I would, like, very reasonably love to have out of this pack, and, like, we're probably not going to wheel any of these, because by the time this pack makes it back around to us, there's only going to be 4 cards left in it. I think I'm going to grab the Battle Prep here, just because, like, it plays into our whole Dingle / Battle Prep plan on turn 2. But I could definitely see the Vidraka Outcast being right there just so we can impact the board faster. And then, you know, there's this pack. 3 cards we want out of the last one. Stone Cold Nothing we want out of here. Alright, I'm gonna grab the Acropolis coin, I guess. Yeah, I'll grab the extra snake. Just in case we come up against a constant deck, we can board in 2 of them. Someone's foolish enough to register Blood Spinners or Wrath or whatnot. Up next. Perfect. We got a Cerulean Sage here. We want some things to fill out the lower part of our curve, so that's pretty great. I actually wouldn't mind a Roidbot here since we need double Sapphire and double Wild in this deck, but I think Sage is definitely the pickup here. So 25 cards, we've seen everything, so we're getting our first pack back here again from this go around. Nothing super exciting in here. I guess I'll snag a Verdict of the Ancient Kings. Again, the fact that we have a whole bunch of battle preparations makes those slightly better. But we're really lucky that one Draka Outcast we passed earlier is going to wheel back around to us, or the Crossing Swords. I think we'd prefer the Draka with these 4 conscript cards though. Nothing super exciting in here. We already have Conceal in this draft. I'm going to grab the Jorgen's Workshop here. We're definitely not going to play this, but someone else might be counting on that wheeling because they're in the Dreadlings archetype. Got about 14-ish playable cards here. Probably going to have to end up on some stinkers. I guess the Galleon Sentinel's probably playable enough to slide it up in here. Our curve's a little bit awkward, but like, remember Battle Prep's like a fine 3-drop since you can play it for 2 and then play the 1-drop on turn 3, so it's kind of a split card that fills either spot here. Nothing super exciting here. I guess I'll go ahead and take the Apprentice Earthcaller just in case we end up with a bunch of Spring Dancers in the 3rd pack and we can pay off this Valor's Matters theme here consistently. Yep. Alright, well, we're going to continue going with that. These 2 cards are not going to be playable if we don't get a Critical Mass of Valor Producers in the 3rd pack, which it's kind of hard to get a lot of Valor payoffs in Wild only, but we'll see. We might just see a bunch of Spring Dancers. If we get probably, I'd say, 3 Valor Producers, we can play both these Apprentice Earthcallers. That's another Valor payoff. I'm going to hide these for now. Just be on 15 playables going into pack 3 here. Set our expectations low. Kind of felt like we were hurting for playables in the last pack too, but then we ended up 2-1, almost 3-0, so yeah, sky's the limit. Sweet, the Draka and the Skyspire Scholar wheeled here. I think I'd rather have the Draka with all these battle preparations. We can just generate some pretty aggressive curves where we go Draka on 1 into battle prep on 2. This is another powerful 1-drop as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3 troops to play on turns 1 and turns 2, which is awesome. I could definitely see there being an argument for taking the Skyspire Scholar there, but I'm pretty sure we're playing Grandfather Elk with this deck, and Elk is definitely not in the business of waiting around to draw cards. I passed a Shriek earlier. It might have been worth picking that up just in case we got another late one like this. Oh geez, so we got a Verdant Mill here. This is just an insane Diligence Enabler. We've got Bushy, Monk, and Mystic Naturalist, so, and Cerulean Sage too, I guess. So 10 out of 10 gonna go ahead and pick this up. Would love it if the Broodnet wheels around to us. The Crackling Clash is very reasonable wild removal, and the Daring Freebooter is also an okay 2-drop, but we have enough Ardent Troops to support. But 10 out of 10 taking the Verdant Mill here to enable our 1, 2, 3, 4 Diligence Troops. Sign me up. Also just like has a very reasonable effect, like, you know, gets 5 counters on it. We can start summoning a 2/2 every time we play a resource, which is just like pretty unbeatable as the game goes along, in addition to making our Diligence Troops insane. Up next, Survey says. Wow. Well, we were kind of wanting to look at Valor Producers anyways. Replay a Valor, draw a card. I don't think we're actually going to end up getting enough Valor Producers for that to be good. And I think we 10 out of 10 want to play this Tinkertron. Like, needing double Sapphire and double Wild's a little bit trying, and like extra charges are good, and ramping is good. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and snake this Tinkertron here, and definitely think this is something we're interested in grabbing. It's reasonable fixing. A 2/2 for 3 is like okay, but like all of the things in this text box are relevant. So pretty excited to pick that up. Anytime I need double thresholds on both sides, anytime you need double thresholds on both sides, I like to make sure we have Tinkertron for some additional types of fixing. We're kind of late on removal here, right? We have a Crossing Swords and a Shackling Strands only. I think we might be in the market for the Sapper's Ballbuster. It's kind of clunky, but like it does answer something, and it is kind of reach. Another possible option here is this Veiled Lurker, 2/2 unblockable. For 4 triple Sapphire Threshold, gets +1/+1. It's kind of nice for cutting through clogged boards. Yeah, I think I like this actually more than the clunky Sapper's Wallbuster. The Wallbuster might wheel too here. We're up to 19 playables here. That's not bad. We probably want 18 resources in this deck. Our curve's not that high, I guess. We've got 1/5. Remember, the Typhoon Skyshaper has mobilized, so really this is like a 4-drop. This pack doesn't have anything too exciting in it for us. I guess we could stake this Change Course here. It's another thing to do when we pass on 2 holding Dingle up, and we can kind of like, if we get enough playables, not play 18 resources, because this can help us find a 3rd shard. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Change Course here. Up next, sweet, we got a, we have a decision. So we passed a Broodnet for a Verdant Mill earlier, and I think I'm just supposed to grab the other Verdant Mill here. These stack pretty well too if we could like get a bunch of counters on them, and like Verdant Mill into Bushy, or Verdant Mill into Monk, or Verdant Mill into Mystic Naturalist, like all of these things are very, very powerful. I mentioned we're kind of light on removal, but like, yeah, Mill is just like super strong with the things we have going on here. Okay, Freebooter came back around here. How many? So we've got 1 Ardent, Bushy's not, so this is Ardent, so it's 2, 3, 4, 5. These are technically Ardent, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, Freebooter's probably playable in this deck. I'm kind of in the market for having another Grizzly Bear, just a 2/2 for 2. I probably want a 2-2 for 2 more than a random 1-4 for 2. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and grab this and put it in here. So I want like one more playable card here since we have the change course to kind of shore up our shard count a little bit. Rust-Tongue Lasher's like a playable-ish card. Corrosive Spit can destroy a random artifact game 1, and Long Tongue gives it Skyguard, so good against like the Ada decks. Yeah, I'll go ahead and pick that up for now. It's probably fine. We're going to probably hedge towards playing slightly more wild anyways since we have Grandfather Elk as our champion. And there, my children, is the best. I present to you the best wild comment out of set 5, the Spring Dancer. I will let everyone revel in her glory for the moment. Alright, we've reveled. We're going to put it in our pool here, and we're going to cut this Rust-Tongue Lasher to the board and pretend we never even thought about that. This is our first pack coming up next here. Hopefully the Broodnet is still in it. We passed the Broodnet for a Verdant Mill. I won't be surprised if it's not. Like, it's a pretty reasonable piece of removal. Might cut the Veiled Lurker for a Broodnet in this deck. Doesn't seem completely unreasonable. Survey says... Alright, so... we did not get... we did not get the Broodnet to come back around, but the Freebooter came back. Is that worth playing? That's probably worth playing. It's probably slightly better than the Veiled Lurker still, too. It drags our curve down a little bit, too, which makes playing slightly less resources reasonable. Rusted Rune is a fantastic reserve card. Destroy target artifact or constant. We're not going to trigger the Underworld Allegiance too terribly consistently, but this is good to just bring in if our opponent has troublesome constants or artifacts we want to tag. Zapper's Wallbuster came back around like we thought it might. I think the fact that we didn't wheel either of those Broodnets kind of means we're in the market for a Zapper's Wallbuster. I can drag my curve down even more here by cutting this Galleon Sentinel. I think that seems reasonable. We have, again, we have a lot of 2s here just looking at it, but we also know that these battle preps are like pseudo 3-drops as well, since they conscript a 1-cost card that we can then play right away. I think I kind of like how this deck is shaped up. Seems reasonable. 2 Verdant Mills on only 17 resources might be suspect, but the fact that we have some good Diligence cards for them to be enabling, I think makes it fine. The 2 Dingles might be suspect, but I kind of like the idea of like passing with Dingle, Battle Prep, and Change Course up, just so we can like have a choice of things to do on the second turn of the game. So I think we're going to run it like this, and I think we're going to be 19 Wild and then 8 Sapphire. I could definitely see 18 resources being right, though. Depending on how the first game plays out, we might go to 9-9 for the second match, or even the second game. Our curve is reasonably low, though. Like, we've got 2 cards that are with 3 cards that cost 4 or more here, and only 2 cards that cost 3 or more. We can operate on kind of pretty reasonable efficiency. We are super miserable. Draft the constructed playable card here. This card's actually pretty playable in this limited format. There's so much Ada, if you can support Triple Blood. Grab the last one here. We'll go ahead and load up some resources and select Grandfather Elk for our champion, and then stay tuned for some matches. Remember, if you enjoyed today's videos, you should like them on YouTube and share them on your social media for me. And there's a couple other ways you can support my content past that if you're enjoying it. The most direct way is by either subscribing on Twitch or becoming a patron on Patreon for varying amounts. Both of those help support myself financially, so I can afford to spend more time doing gaming things, producing content, instead of other work for actual dollars. You can also support my content by supporting supporting my sponsors. HexPrimal.com would love to sell you some Hex TCG singles. If you use code Jeff5 at checkout, not only will you save 5% on your order there, but you'll also be supporting my content here. Stay tuned for some gameplay videos followed by a wrap-up segment here. Thanks for watching, folks.